The words hit like a thunderbolt on a bright morning. I'm pregnant. He left me. The young woman's voice trembled as she stood outside a small neighborhood bakery, clutching a folded medical report against her chest. Cars moved past. People carried coffee cups and hurried to work. The world continued as if nothing had happened. But for her, everything had fallen apart in a single moment. Her name was Marissa Hale, 26 years old, standing beneath the warm sunlight of a beautiful spring day while her future seemed darker than any night she had ever known. Before we begin this emotional journey, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to A Journey of Hearts if you believe kindness, compassion, and second chances can change lives. Your support helps these stories reach people who may need hope today. Marissa had always imagined pregnancy differently. She imagined joyful tears, celebration, tiny clothes hanging in a nursery, and a loving partner beside her. Instead, she found herself alone. Only 3 days earlier, she had shown the pregnancy test to the man she loved. She expected surprise. Maybe fear. But never abandonment. Within hours, he packed his belongings and disappeared from her life. His phone number stopped working. His social media accounts vanished. The apartment lease had never been in his name. He was simply gone. For 72 hours she barely slept. She cried until her eyes burned. She sat on her couch staring at walls, wondering how a person could promise forever one week and disappear the next. That morning, after another sleepless night, she forced herself outside. She needed air. She needed something. Anything. As she walked through town, her mind replayed every painful memory. Every promise. Every lie. That was when she noticed a little girl struggling to carry a stack of bakery boxes. The child couldn't have been older than 8. One box slipped. Before it hit the ground, Marissa caught it. The little girl smiled. A few feet away stood a man loading bags into an aging pickup truck. He looked up and waved. The little girl ran toward him. The man thanked Marissa warmly. His name was Rowan Mercer. At first glance, there was nothing extraordinary about him. He wore faded jeans and a simple work shirt. His hands carried the roughness of years spent building things. His truck was old. His smile was gentle. The little girl introduced herself as Juniper. And then Rowan said something that surprised Marissa. He wasn't her uncle. He wasn't her older brother. He was her father. A single father. For some reason, that detail lingered in Marissa's thoughts long after they drove away. Maybe because she saw something in Rowan's eyes. A quiet strength. A kind of calm that only comes from surviving storms. The next few weeks were difficult. Morning sickness arrived. Medical appointments began. Bills piled up. Fear became a constant companion. Marissa told almost nobody about the pregnancy because she couldn't bear the questions. Every night she wondered whether she could raise a child alone. Every morning she doubted herself again. One Saturday, while shopping at a local farmer's market, she unexpectedly saw Rowan and Juniper again. Juniper immediately recognized her. The little girl ran over and hugged her. The gesture caught Marissa completely off guard. Children had a strange ability to offer affection without conditions. Before she realized it, she found herself walking alongside them through rows of vendors and flower stands. The conversation felt easy. Natural. For the first time in weeks, she laughed. Not a forced laugh. A real one. Later, Rowan handed her a basket of strawberries she had been admiring but couldn't afford. Marissa tried to refuse. Rowan simply smiled. His kindness wasn't dramatic. It wasn't flashy. It was quiet. And somehow that made it mean more. Over the following months, their paths crossed again and again. Sometimes at the market. Sometimes near the bakery. sometimes at community events. The friendship grew naturally. Neither forced it. Neither rushed it. Marissa eventually shared the truth about her pregnancy. She expected pity. Instead, Rowan listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't offer empty advice. He simply sat beside her on a park bench while the afternoon sun painted golden patterns across the grass. When she finally finished explaining how the father had abandoned her, silence settled between them. Then Rowan spoke softly. His quiet reply would stay with her forever. He said that someone leaving didn't determine the value of the person left behind. He said that abandonment revealed character, but only the character of the one who walked away. And then he added something even more powerful. He said children do not need perfect beginnings. They need people who choose to stay. Those words changed everything. Because for the first time since learning she was pregnant, Marissa stopped seeing herself as abandoned. She began seeing herself as chosen. Chosen by the little life growing inside her. Chosen by responsibility. Chosen by love. As summer arrived, her confidence slowly returned. She started preparing a nursery. She attended parenting classes. She found a better job working remotely. Every step felt small. But together they built momentum. Meanwhile, Rowan remained a steady presence. Never intrusive. Never demanding. Simply there. Marissa eventually learned his story. 5 years earlier, Juniper's mother had died unexpectedly after a sudden illness. One day Rowan had been part of a family of 3. The next, he found himself raising a grieving toddler while navigating his own heartbreak. There were years when he barely slept. Years when money was scarce. Years when loneliness felt overwhelming. Yet he never complained. He simply kept showing up. Day after day. Year after year. Listening to his story made Marissa realize strength wasn't loud. Real strength looked like waking up every morning and continuing anyway. Autumn arrived. Leaves turned gold. The baby grew stronger. So did Marissa. Then one afternoon everything changed again. She received an email. It was from the man who had left. No apology. No explanation. Just a brief message saying he wasn't ready to be a father and hoped she understood. Marissa stared at the screen for a long time. Months earlier, the message would have shattered her. Now it only made her sad. Not for herself. For him. Because she realized he would never know the child he had abandoned. He would miss first smiles. First steps. First words. He would miss everything. And that loss belonged to him. Not her. She deleted the email. Then she closed her laptop and joined Rowan and Juniper at a community picnic. Life continued. And for the first time, she wanted it to. Winter approached. The mornings became colder. The due date grew closer. One snowy December morning, Marissa went into labor. Fear returned instantly. She wasn't ready. Nobody ever felt ready. The contractions intensified. The hospital seemed impossibly far away. When panic threatened to overwhelm her, Rowan arrived. Not because she asked. Because he knew. Because he cared. He drove her through icy roads while Juniper stayed with neighbors. Hours later, after a long and exhausting labor, a healthy baby boy entered the world. Marissa cried. Not from pain. From relief. From gratitude. From love. Holding her son felt like holding an entire future. She named him Silas. When Rowan visited the hospital room later that evening, he stood quietly near the doorway. Marissa looked at him holding flowers and suddenly realized something. Throughout the darkest year of her life, he had never once tried to rescue her. He had done something far more meaningful. He had believed in her ability to rescue herself. The months that followed were beautiful and difficult. Sleepless nights. Diaper changes. Medical appointments. Financial worries. Moments of exhaustion. Moments of joy. Sometimes all within the same hour. Yet Marissa no longer felt alone. Juniper adored baby Silas. Rowan remained nearby whenever help was needed. A year passed. Then another. Silas learned to walk. Then run. Then talk. The little boy filled every room with laughter. One evening, during a neighborhood celebration beneath strings of glowing lights, Marissa watched Juniper helping Silas chase bubbles through the warm evening air. The sight made her emotional. Because 2 years earlier she had stood outside a bakery believing her life was over. Now she understood it had only been beginning. As music drifted through the night, Rowan joined her. Neither spoke immediately. Sometimes the most meaningful moments required no words. Finally, Rowan admitted something. He said that watching Marissa become a mother had inspired him. He said her courage reminded him that broken beginnings could still lead to beautiful stories. Tears filled her eyes. Because she had spent so long admiring his strength that she never imagined he admired hers too. The realization brought them closer. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. But honestly. A friendship became love. A love built on trust. Patience. Respect. And countless ordinary days. The strongest kind. Years later, people would often ask Marissa when she knew everything would be okay. They expected her answer to involve a wedding. Or a promotion. Or some grand life-changing event. But her answer was always the same. It was the day a single father listened to her heartbreak and quietly reminded her that another person's departure could never define her worth. That was the moment everything changed. Not because her problems disappeared. But because her perspective did. And perspective can save a life. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. Stories of hope and resilience deserve to reach people who may be struggling through their own difficult chapter right now. Special request: comment below with the words, "I choose to stay," if you believe love is shown through commitment, kindness, and being present when people need us most. As the years passed, Marissa often watched Silas and Juniper laughing together in the backyard while Rowan grilled dinner nearby under the golden light of another peaceful afternoon. She would remember the frightened woman she once was. The woman who believed abandonment was the end. The woman standing outside a bakery holding a medical report and a broken heart. That woman could never have imagined this future. Yet somehow every painful step had led here. To a family built not by perfection, but by choice. To a love built not by promises, but by actions. To a life built not by what was lost, but by what remained. And perhaps that is the lesson hidden inside every difficult season. Sometimes the people who leave create wounds. But sometimes the people who stay create miracles. Marissa's story was never really about the man who walked away. It was about the people who remained. The little boy who gave her purpose. The little girl who offered unexpected friendship. And the single father whose quiet reply transformed despair into hope. Because in the end, the strongest love is often the quietest. The kind that doesn't make headlines. The kind that doesn't arrive with grand speeches. The kind that simply stays. And sometimes, staying changes everything.